My name is Larry Mitchell, and we have an exciting show to discuss. As you well know, there has been an enormous divide in our country when it comes to crimes or police brutality. That's one of the subjects we're going to deal with, and we're going to discuss some guidelines in which police can use different types of force. We're going to discuss their defense and the standard in which police legally can use lethal force, and etc., and why it's so rare that they ever get punished. First of all, I want to welcome my guest, Miss Tonya Stewart. I want to know, Miss Tonya, about your background. Let the audience get a feeling of who you are, because she's a candidate for public defender. And I want to discuss to the listening audience the big why. Why are you doing this? And I think you would be the very first in our Polk County to take this challenge. And tell us how it's been so far.
First off, good morning, Larry, and I want to thank you and Don Brown for having me here on WWAB. First off, for your first question, who am I? Who is Flora Tonya Stewart? I am a native of Lake Wales, Florida. I was born and raised in Lake Wales. I went off to Florida A&M and I got my bachelor's in criminal justice. After 4 years, I graduated magna cum laude from Florida A&M back in 2001. And then I went on to Florida A&M College of Law down in Orlando. Graduated in 2006. I actually graduated with the second, not the inaugural class, but the second class that came out of the new law school over at Florida A&M. One thing I want to mention as well, I graduated from Florida International University back in 2014 with a master's in business administration. I graduated with high honors, so that's something that I also bring to the table. Not only that, I am licensed to practice law here in Florida as well as in the state of Georgia. School has definitely been something I've been doing for a while.
For a long time, I know what that's like. And
for your second question, I do have a family. I'm so blessed to have my wonderful husband here with me today, actually. He's here, Sam Stewart. I do have 3 children as well. Three. I have 3. 7, 4, and my youngest is he'll be 6 months old here in the next couple of days.
6 months, and you have the courage to do this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. That tells you a little bit right there, guys, our stamina. All right. Now, define public defender's office first, and then why you decided to run for it.
The public defender's office basically represent those clients that cannot afford to hire their own private attorney for any type of crime, from a petty misdemeanor on up to murder charges. And that's what we do at the public defender's office.
And you worked there how long?
I worked there for 8 years.
8 years.
Yes. I left the office in 2014, and I started in 2006 right after I graduated from law school. So that's been the bulk of my practice. That's what I've done. That's what I know, and that's what's in my heart.
Are you working there now?
I'm not working there now. I have a private firm here in Lakeland that I own, and I've been doing that for a while now.
Okay, let's talk about the public defender's office in the realm of what have you observed for your clients and the type of clients and who those clients are that you typically represent as far as people with more money.
We're dealing with indigent people, people who don't have the money, the poor. The poor is who we're dealing with. Unfortunately, a lot of the clients that we represent are your minorities, black, brown people, and people who don't have a lot of resources to hire their own attorney.
And I want the audience to get a firm feeling of, and many of them have experienced it and have different opinions about their representation from the public defender's office. But why would it be such a challenge to a lot of people who have experienced public defenders and feel that either they got adequate representation or they didn't get adequate representation? What would be the underlying factor in perhaps not getting adequate representation?
One of the biggest problems in the public defender's office, in any public defender's office that I've come across anyway, is the caseload. There's not always enough attorneys and staff members to handle the amount of clients that come through. And that's something that in my platform that I look to rectify in managing such a high caseload and bringing in more attorneys, even if that requires going outside of Polk County, outside of the state even, to find grant dollars to help, bring in more attorneys where we can give effective and competent representation to our clients.
Tonya, because the effect of inadequate representation, what happens is that client may wind up just getting a plea for one thing, may also wind up not getting the investigation needed
Correct.
to support his case. So the amendment, the Constitution, seems like will require an indigent person to get proficient representation is compromised.
Correct. And that's so true. Unfortunately, that's true in the public defender's office. And that's why it is important to manage the caseload so that our clients are getting effective and competent representation. Because when you're asking one attorney to handle 250 cases, they just don't have the time. And when that's the case, things like investigation, looking up case law, research, that becomes compromised because time is compromised. Clients end up pleading to, just to get out of jail or, because the lawyer doesn't have the time to invest in the case that the case really needs.
So it's like a triage then. You look at it, you come in, you look at the case, and you make a decision based on, what's worthy of going to trial, what's worthy of playing out. So it's an injustice in itself right there.
It is. And something you mentioned, Larry, the Constitution does guarantee, Sixth Amendment does guarantee a right to counsel. Not just counsel. We're talking about competent and effective counsel. And if you're not giving the people what the Constitution requires, you're doing a total injustice.
So it sounds like it doesn't sound like, but we do need a judicial reformation to reform the whole system, because disproportionately black and brown people are incarcerated at such a high level that
Correct.
in and of itself is unfair. Exactly what are some of the things that you would like to see in addition to what you have said so far?
Well, I'm going to direct that question specifically to the 10th Circuit Public Defender's Office because, as you know, I'm running for a public defender here in the 10th Circuit, which encompasses Polk County, Highlands County, and Hardee County. Some of the things that I want to see, number one, is more diversity within the public defender's office. Right now, I think there's less than 20% minorities that's actually working in the public defender's office. Even less when we're talking about in terms of minority, black and brown attorneys that are working in that office. I think it's somewhere less than 5%, which is a total injustice in and of itself, because I feel that it is so important that our office represent the clients that we actually represent. The makeup of the office should represent, the clients.
Demographics of, the clients and the demographics. I think I have in my hand a report that the NAACP requested public records, a breakdown on just what you're talking about, the employment for the last 4 years, which is the 4 years I think that your opponent, the current public defender, has held post. And let me just run down real quickly. out of 145 employees, 82% was white, 10% was African American, and 7% was Latino. And 2013, it was about the same. The African American went down and the Latinos went up. 2014, the whites went up, and again, African American employees went down, employment went down, and so did Latinos. And in 2015, whites went down a point or two, and African American went down again, and Latinos went up jumped up a good 3% to 10. What would you say to this? I mean, that's on point with what you're talking about.
Larry, I mean, quite honestly, it's sad. It's very sad when I know, just working in that office in the 8 years that I worked there, easily over half of our clients that we represent are minorities, blacks,
Half,
Hispanics.
yeah.
Yes. And when you don't even have that representation in the office, the makeup of the employment, speaking from a client's perspective, how can you feel you're getting fair representation when you don't even see people that look like you representing you? And it's important to diversify because you have people coming bringing different experiences to the table.
Right.
And when you can understand what your client has experienced and what they're going through, it makes a huge difference.
And it's only fair. The corporations and businesses have recognized the importance of diversity because we live in a diverse country. Yeah. And that it's a good marketing tool for them, and it just makes sense that for them to do so because I think their revenue will reflect that diversity of employment. But when it comes to government, some government agencies, particularly the judicial system, it seems like if you're in a red city, or a city that has historically been a good boy system way before you and I was born, it continues to be such unless there's intervention, unless there's a major change where the leadership of that agency get on board with what's going on around the country. And some of them are slow, and some of them are even not in gear to go forward in that area.
And it's funny you mentioned that, Larry. Something I want to say. Why am I running?
Yeah.
I'm running because I do want to represent the next generation of leadership here in Polk County, as well as Highlands and Hardee. And when I say that, what I mean is, as a native of Polk County, I notice my people in my generation. They go off to school, they get training, they get skills, and they decide, you know what, I'm not going back to Polk County because there are not opportunities there for us. I want to show them that, yes, there are opportunities there in Polk County. Larry, when people like you and Mr. Brown and the rest of the leaders here in Polk County decide, I can't do this anymore, I need to pass on the torch, who's going to be there?
Yeah, I could really relate to that.
Yeah.
I just mentioned that in a meeting that I was in even with the chief when we were discussing diversity and hiring minority polices and the importance of it. But I recognize that how can I effectively show myself or prove to myself and others that there's a day is going to change, and it has to change through my actions and things that I do and how I present myself, etc. So that was my main purpose for being out there in that area. It's a redneck area, but I thought if I had to pass on something, it was through treating people the way that you want to be treated. And I thought through that simple process, people could look at me and black folks in that respect. Yeah. So my hat goes up because you're the next generation. You're up under me.
Yes. Yes.
So it's time for you to put forward that task of, and you're doing that. That's exactly what you're saying. doing things that hopefully someone else would see and would make a difference at the same time. So my hat go off to you for that effort.